Have you ever stopped to wonder why, no matter how hard you grind, no matter how many hours you put in at work, you're still left scrambling to make it to the end of the month? Seriously, just think about it. You're doing everything right. Working long hours, cutting back on expenses, maybe even picking up side hustles along the way. But despite all that effort, payday can't come fast enough, right? And the minute it does, the cycle starts all over again. It feels like you're stuck on a hamster wheel, turning faster and faster, but getting nowhere. If that sounds familiar, I want you to know that you're not alone. That's why in this video, I'm going to pull back the curtain on the harsh realities of living paycheck to paycheck. And if you stay till the end, I'll reveal step by step exactly how you can start breaking out of this financial prison. This isn't just another video about budgeting or cutting back. What you're about to learn next could be the difference between constantly surviving and finally thriving. But first, I want you to let this sink in for a second. Over 60% of Americans are living paycheck to paycheck. That's a staggering majority of people who are just barely making it, constantly on the edge of financial disaster. But watching this video alone is not enough to truly master your finances. If you've been a long-time subscriber to the channel, you'll know exactly how much I stress financial freedom and multiple streams of income. So it is a must you go back on the channel and watch those videos after this. But here's the real question: why is this happening? Why are so many hard-working people trapped in this never-ending cycle? What's the dark truth behind it? And most importantly, how do you break free before it's too late? What living paycheck to paycheck really means. Before we get into the hard facts, let's take a moment to understand what living paycheck to paycheck truly means. It's more than just a lack of savings or a low income. Living paycheck to paycheck means that after covering your basic living expenses, things like rent, utilities, groceries, transportation, you're left with little to no money. Miss one paycheck, and the house of cards collapses. So ask yourself this: what would happen if you didn't get your next paycheck? Would you be able to cover your bills? Or would your entire financial world just fall apart? A recent report shows that of those living paycheck to paycheck, nearly 40% earn over $100,000 a year. That's right, even high-income earners aren't safe. It's a shocking fact that living paycheck to paycheck doesn't discriminate. It's a trap anyone can fall into, no matter how much they're earning. But why is this happening? It boils down to three major issues: rising costs of living, stagnant wages, and, this might surprise you, but lifestyle inflation. We'll unpack each of these in just a moment. What are the rising costs of living? First, let's talk about the skyrocketing cost of living. Over the last few decades, the prices of housing, healthcare, education, and even groceries have increased at a much faster rate than wages. For example, back in 2000, the average rent for a one-bedroom apartment was around $600. Fast forward to the time of this video, and that same apartment can easily cost you over $1,200, depending on where you live. And here's the kicker: while prices have doubled, wages have barely budged. According to the Federal Reserve, real wages have only increased by about 4% over the last 2 decades, while the cost of living has soared by nearly 30%. This is why so many people feel like they're working harder than ever, yet they're still struggling just to keep their heads above water. However, I need you to understand that the rising costs of living is just the beginning. What I'm about to share next is something you didn't even know is happening to you right now that'll hold you back for years, but only if you let it. Make sure to subscribe to the channel. What are the effects of stagnant wages? Let's dive a little deeper into wages. In a perfect world, your income would grow at the same pace as inflation and the cost of living, right? But the reality is that wage growth has been stagnant for decades. Basically, what that means is as prices go up, your income stays the same, year after year after year. In fact, according to a recent study, even though worker productivity has skyrocketed, the wages of the average worker haven't kept pace. This means that even though you're doing more, your paycheck isn't reflecting it. You're essentially being underpaid for the amount of value you bring. This wage stagnation is one of the key reasons people are struggling to break free from the paycheck-to-paycheck grind. But it's not the only reason. There's another culprit that's keeping people trapped in this financial hamster wheel, and that's what we call the danger of lifestyle inflation. This is what I like to call the silent killer. Avoid this at all costs. Let me ask you this. How many times have you gotten a raise or a promotion and then said, "Great, now I can finally afford that new car or upgrade to that bigger apartment"? That's lifestyle inflation. As your income increases, so do your expenses. Instead of saving or investing that extra money, it gets absorbed by more spending. Here's an eye-opener. Lifestyle inflation is the reason why so many people earning six figures still find themselves living paycheck to paycheck. It's the trap of believing that more income automatically means more financial freedom, when in reality, it often just means more debt. The truth is, earning more money won't solve the problem if you're not managing it wisely. What are the dangers of living on the edge? Living paycheck to paycheck isn't just a financial issue. It affects your mental health, your relationships, and even your physical well-being. The constant stress of knowing that you're one emergency away from financial disaster can lead to anxiety, depression, and a sense of hopelessness. The fact of the matter is, most people don't even think about unexpected expenses or financial situations that must be taken care of. Those that actually have some sense know how life works. We all have problems. Your job is to just be prepared for it. And when that emergency does happen, whether it's a medical bill, car repair, or unexpected job loss, it can plunge you into debt, creating a cycle that's incredibly hard to escape. So what can you do about it? Here is how to reach the path to financial freedom. Now that we've exposed the dark side of living paycheck to paycheck, let's talk about how to break free. Step 1. Create a budget. The first step is understanding where your money is going. A lot of people avoid budgeting because they think it's restrictive. But in reality, a budget gives you freedom. It helps you take control of your money rather than letting your money control you. Step 2. Cut lifestyle inflation. Next, resist the urge to upgrade your lifestyle every time you get a raise. Instead, use that extra money to build an emergency fund or invest in assets that will generate income. Step 3. Increase your income. While managing your expenses is crucial, increasing your income through side hustles, passive income streams, or investments is equally important. We've created a playlist of videos on building multiple streams of income, so be sure to check that out after this. Step 4. Create an emergency fund. Start building an emergency fund. Experts recommend saving at least 3 to 6 months' worth of living expenses. This way, when life throws you a curveball, you won't have to rely on credit cards or loans to cover the costs. Step 5. Invest in your future. Finally, it's important to invest, whether it's the stock market, real estate, or other assets. Putting your money to work for you is one of the best ways to escape the paycheck to paycheck cycle. Living paycheck to paycheck doesn't have to be your reality. By understanding the root causes, rising costs, stagnant wages, and lifestyle inflation, and taking the right steps, you can break free from this cycle and start building a more secure financial future. Now, the real question is, are you ready to take action? Just let me know in the comments section. In fact, if you want to know the one technique wealthy people use every single day that creates generational wealth, we've created an entire video explaining step by step what to do. Just click the video on the screen and we'll see you in the next one.